Welcome to the National Indian Gaming Association's The New Normal webcast, The Crisis and Opportunities in Hospitality. My name is Lisa Johnson. I'm the conference manager for the Indian Gaming Trade Show and Convention. I'd like to share a few housekeeping tips before we get started. Everyone is muted by default except for our speakers. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question or chat box and they will be brought up at the end. The session will also be recorded and available on our website. Now, without further ado, I would now like to introduce Victor Rocha, Conference Chairman of the National Indian Gaming Association.
Thank you, Lisa. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Victor Rocha. My co-host is Jason Giles, and this is a New Normal. Welcome. In today's conversation, we're speaking with Stowe Shoemaker, Dean of Wiliam F. Harrah College of Hospitality at UNLV. And Angela Ramsey also is joining us, and she's also from the College of Hospitality. Dean Shoemaker, Angela, welcome. How are you doing?
Well, thank you very much. Welcome. And it's great to be on today's podcast and very excited to talk about the new normal.
Thank you very much. Jason, how you doing, my friend?
Good. Good morning. Thank you, guests, for joining us today and attendees. Very timely topic, considering we're going to a new venue this year, Anaheim, and you can just see it across the country. For those that have ventured out to travel over the holidays, the hospitality industry is hurting right now, to say the least. It's not uncommon to just see all the short staff signs up and we're closed for temporary hours and things of that nature because of the labor shortage. So it's interesting out there.
Jason, and actually, that's why I felt that today's show is a really important one, especially, Dean Shoemaker. I've been very fortunate to have these conversations with him for the last several months, and to be able to have this resource to be able to pick his brain has been really wonderful because, this is such uncharted territory for us, Again, Dean, welcome. From your perspective, how has the pandemic affected the hospitality industry?
Well, it's had obviously a huge impact on the hospitality industry. And I just want to introduce another one of the people working with me at the university, Megan Reilly, just logged on. But in answer to your question, I think that what's really where the pandemic has had its biggest impact is really in the trade show and convention business. So for instance, in Las Vegas, we had CES recently, and only 25% of the participants actually showed up. So we're seeing a lot of sort of decline in the convention business. The local tourist business, or just what we would call the non-convention business, the FIT traveler, that seems to be holding its own. So people are still coming and they're spending a lot of time gambling, but our occupancies are down just because we don't have all the conventions coming into town.
It feels like there's almost this parallel to Macau in the sense that, you have this thriving industry that's being handicapped. In Macau, it's because of obviously because of the pandemic and the restrictions. And now with, I just read today something like, all the specialty rooms are all closed, all the junkets are all closed and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so now that energy, but in Las Vegas, it's the same in the same way. When you go there without the conventions, it really loses its feel. You know what I mean? And what Vegas is, and I was there. When we were there, I was able to get into these really high-end restaurants really quickly. But when I went back for G2E, I couldn't get reservations to, which is, poor me.
There's a couple of things really happening with the new normal. One is obviously, as we just mentioned, the loss of the convention business, or not the loss of it, because there are conventions still coming. Let's call it the decline, which we think will come back. I mean, the research we've done and people we've been talking to, it's going to come back. It's not gone forever.
Thank you so much, because I was going to worry Jason was going to throw himself out the window.
No, it's definitely gonna.
I was like, no, let's not talk about this right now. We can talk about this later. Let's warm him up into the convention business.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to come back, because I think if one thing that COVID has shown us is that people are tired of Zoom meetings. They want to be together. They want to have those interactions. They want to break bread and drink wine with potential clients and their friends. And so we're very bullish on the convention business, as evidenced in Las Vegas. We keep building more convention space. But the other issue that we're facing, of course, is the labor shortage and the supply shortage. So what's been happening is restaurants, like we had lunch the other day with the executive chef at one of the major restaurants in Bellagio. And they said because of the labor shortage, they're not serving lunch now, they're just serving dinner on the weekends when the demand is there, so they can save their staff to work. The other issue they're finding is that they have a hard time getting supplies for food products, and also food. I was talking to someone at Resorts World, and because of the supply issues, some items have gotten so expensive that they've had to take them off the menu because consumers just aren't willing to pay more, even though the cost of the product. So we're kind of at a triple threat. One, the loss of the decline in the convention business. Two, the decline in the labor shortage. And three, the supply issues, which make it very hard to give the guest the 100% experience that they're used to seeing. And so organizations are working very closely in terms of how do we reduce our hours, how do we reduce our menus so that we give the same great service, we just don't give it to as many people as we used to.
Yeah, I'm seeing that all across the country too. I know in California, in the tribal casinos, and my tribal casino particularly, I see that lunches aren't available at all the restaurants, dinner, and then obviously the shuttling around of employees. I went to go get breakfast the other day, and I could tell that the cook was from another restaurant because the food was just like perfection, and the steak it was a breakfast steak, but it was seasoned like it was nighttime. I was like, oh, okay, this is not familiar. It was just somebody. And sure enough, when I asked the question, it was like, yeah, this guy was from the other steakhouse who was at the breakfast, and yep, that's what everybody's shuffling around and trying to make it work. And is this the new normal? For how long?
I think there's a real positive to this, because what it really shows, and this is what we promote a lot in the Hospitality College, that the hospitality business, it's not just a job, but it's a career, right? And so by having people take on additional responsibility, additional roles because of the labor shortage, what it's shown employees who have a passion for the industry that, oh, wow, I can do more than just be a line cook. I can, move up rapidly. If I want to move to the front of the house, I can move to the front of the house. So it really shows that there's so many opportunities within our industry. I often tell the story that someone made a comment once to me, well, hospitality, it's not rocket science. And I said, well, wait a minute, let's think about it. Let's think about rocket science. What does it take to launch a rocket? Well, first of all, you have one shot to make it right. It either goes off or it doesn't go off. In order to make that launch, you have multiple people, all at very different skill levels, doing individual jobs to make sure that rocket launches, right? You have supply chain issues to make sure there's fuel, there's all the things that go into that rocket, that they're there on time so we can reach the launch date. And you think about that, and to me, that sounds like a wedding, right? You got one shot to make the wedding right, all these different people working together, a lot of math, a lot of analytics. Well, that's really the hospitality industry. So as we see the opportunities for staff people to move to the front of the house, to the back of the house, they can see all these different opportunities, and suddenly it becomes, wow, if I learn this specific job function, I can actually increase my livelihood, but I can increase my opportunities within this amazing industry. And that's what I think the silver lining is that as we think about cross-training and new opportunities for our employees, they're beginning to see that it's not just a job, but it's a whole career.
I agree with that. Go ahead, Jason, you have a question?
Yeah. So from an academic perspective, what do you think is behind, and what has research shown, or any studies you guys have done at UNLV, I mean, this is going on, I guess, 8 months of a severe labor shortage, but, obviously during the pandemic, it was hard to gauge. But the facts are people have not come back to work pre-pandemic levels. And we at National Indian Gaming Association have done 2 studies because our casinos are really worried that back-end workers are the hardest. Also, cleaning personnel for the hotels and whatnot are very hard to find. And, is it immigration limits? Is it lack of, higher pay? Or is it just people are just not ready to come back and work shoulder to shoulder all day, for fear of they could still get it? Our studies we didn't really find anything. They were about 6 months apart during the pandemic. It was very hard to identify then, but I don't know. It seems to me like wages have really got to come up even more to entice people back.
Yeah, I'm not specifically aware of any specific research that's been done and published by our faculty yet. Angela or Megan, I'm not sure if you're aware of any. But anecdotally, we hear a couple things. Okay. The first of all is that it's not just hospitality where people are left the industry, right? There was a 60-minute piece where everybody's kind of done a reshuffling of what are their priorities, right? So I think there was a question of, wow, why am I working all this time? Maybe I should really reevaluate what I want to do. So I think there's definitely that reevaluation that's happened. I think the second thing is that unfortunately, when everybody got furloughed so quickly, people began to think about, wow, I lost my job really rapidly. Is this an industry I really want to go back into and lose my job again? When I look out and I see that I could be an Uber or a Lyft driver, I see that Amazon is hiring and people are always going to be ordering on Amazon. So maybe I just go take that job and have more regular scheduled hours. So I think that's another thing that's people are reevaluating. I think certainly pay has become an issue, but I think it's not so much pay and it is flexibility, right? I think another issue is with everybody being at home for schooling, parents who used to take their kids, drop them off at school and then go work, suddenly now can't because they have to be home with their child. I think that's an issue. So I think what we need to do as an industry is to recognize the fact that we as an industry have to change in terms of how we think about labor. For instance, when I was in the hospitality business, sort of the shift was you work on the front desk, you work 8-hour shifts, you start at 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7, and you sort of pick that time. But you look at what's happening at Starbucks now. Starbucks says, give us your best 4 hours of the day, right? And basically letting people work when they want to work and as long as we have coverage. So I think we're going to see some more flexibility in terms of staffing so that people can kind of choose when they want to work, when they can work, and not be locked into a specific schedule that just won't work. So I'm bullish on the fact that I think there are people who are passionate about hospitality. We're in the hospitality school going out and recruiting students who are passionate about the industry and turning them in. But we do have to realize that the day of everybody just going into work for 8 hours straight, it's changing. And there are more opportunities for jobs.
I think this is a really good segue into your relationship with Manuel. When the still was announced, and by the way, Angela, Megan, I know this is something you both know about, so welcome. I thought it was pretty ingenious, because it was really thinking outside the box. They've done a couple things like this where it seems to me if you have employees that already have this loyalty to your company, I think one of the things that you would want to do is to help them career-wise to move up, you know what I mean, and to create these opportunities. And one of the things when tribal gaming really started getting its legs 20 years ago, that was one of the things that we were really proud about, is the fact that we had these familial relationships with our employees, this loyalty they've been with us, and you know, when sometimes loyalty just isn't enough, you know what I mean? And I thought it was pretty ingenious of Sam Manuel to reach out. And by the way, they did this before the pandemic, by the way. So tell us a little bit about your relationship with Sam Manuel and what this is and how,
Okay, well, thank you for that. And of course, Megan and Angela, feel free to drop in. Essentially, we've had a great relationship with San Manuel Band of Mission Indians. What many people don't know is many of the leaders within the non-tribal members who are working at the casino happen to be UNLV graduates, either from the hospitality school or the business school. And the San Manuel has had a long relationship with the law school. Ricky Tannenbaum, who's now their chief operating officer, is a graduate of our college and serves as president of the Dean's Advisory Board. And one of the things that Sam Manuel was really concerned about was, you know, where's our future leadership going to come from in tribal gaming and tribal hospitality? You know, as right now, many of the casinos are operated by non-tribal members. And if the concern was, well, let's make sure that our members will have the skill set and knowledge needed to run the properties themselves. The second thing was that they're strong believers in education, right? And so the idea was, let's make a donation to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. It was a $9 million gift. $3 million went to the law school, and $6 million went to the Harrah College of Hospitality, with the whole goal of saying, how do we create and educate a new generation of leaders within the tribal community, but also educate non-tribal members who happen to be working in tribal casinos so that they can understand the difference between tribal operations, commercial gaming, but also learn a history and an understanding of Native American. And unfortunately, non-tribal members in our country, we have a very short-term memory about our history. And our goal is to educate non-tribal members about the history of Native Americans and why they have gaming and where they are today and all the things that we shouldn't be proud of as non-tribal members. So that's how the gift came about. And, you know, one thing that really impressed me when I talked to Sam Manuel was, unlike commercial industries, which are concerned with, what did you do for me last quarter? Our conversations with Sam Manuel basically says, we're looking 7 generations out. What are we doing today that's going to prepare for the 7 generations? So the way that we took our gift was we created an endowment. So Sam Manuel gives us $1.2 million a year, of which $1 million goes into an endowment. So when that endowment reaches its fruition in 5 years, now probably 3 years, the university will always have about $175,000 in cash to continue all the good work that we want to do in terms of tribal education. So that's kind of the sort of the history of the gift. Angela or Megan, did you want to add anything else?
I just wanted to add that I think, you know, one of the strengths of our program is our history with gaming. It's something that distinguishes us from other programs across the country and the world. And I think that that's another reason that Sam Manuel, you know, entrusted us with this, you know, amazing and generous gift, is that we have this background in gaming, not just hospitality, and that we really are entrenched in the gaming industry, and we have partnerships all over the world. And I feel like that spirit of partnership translates well to the idea of tribal gaming and the value system that exists in the tribal country. I think Stowe can elaborate on that.
Yes, we are, for the people who don't know, we are the #2 hospitality program in the world, #1 in the US, and the next closest in the United States is number 13th in the world. So we're way ahead of fairly everybody in terms of hospitality and gaming. And, you know, one thing that was very important to us was two things with this gift. One, we want to hire a San Manuel chair of tribal gaming, and we have this job posted, and we'll be reposting it. But we're looking for someone who is, really connected in the tribal community, who has an understanding about hospitality and gaming, who has an understanding about education, who can really help us develop the relationships we need across the tribal communities so that we can, provide the courses that are necessary to help people be successful. So that's one job that we're very much looking for. The second thing that became very important to us is that we did not want to be a traditional university that says, here's what you need to learn, here are the courses we put together, and take it or leave it. We wanted to go out and talk to tribal members and say, what are the kind of courses you want to learn about? What's the method of delivery? Do you want to earn a certificate program? Are you looking maybe to earn an associate's degree or a BA, or maybe even a master's or a PhD? How would you like these courses delivered? Do you want them delivered online, where what we call asynchronous, where you can sign on when you want to? Do you want them asynchronous online, where everybody logs on from where they are? Are you looking to come to Las Vegas for a week of courses? Would you want Las Vegas to come to you for courses, for certificates? And then we have about 25 different courses that we're looking to evaluate opinions on. And so working with Victor and his group, we plan to send this survey out, the next day or two. And we really want everybody to participate in this so that we can design courses that are interest to the community and that will help people be successful. And so that's really, really critical. I know everybody kind of gets tired of surveys because we seem to send them out all the time, but I can honestly tell you that this survey will be used to shape the curriculum in a way that helps educate our guests in the way they want to be educated, with the type of materials they want to educate. So we can't thank you enough, Victor, for this helping us with this.
Well, it's actually the National Gaming Association. This has a real benefit to the tribes and to elevating our employees up to the next level. So how can we or how can this program help Indian country? Is with the outreach, we can send our employees, we can educate, we can send our tribal members, which I think is a really big priority in Indian country, is educating the next generation. And I know with my tribe, it's very important. And with National Gaming Association, we've had these different programs and talking about these exchange programs and stuff like this. But this really is the first college education program that we have. And so I think it's a real ingenious, and I think it solves one of the major issues that we're having, which is the career path opportunities, and giving people real opportunities. And I think with the pandemic, I think you're seeing a lot of the people are here for the ride. But I think a lot of people are looking at this as an opportunity. It's one that is, the thing that I loved about opportunity, somebody once told me, is that, you can get this education and it's transferable anywhere around the world. You could work at, in Hawaii or, Arizona. If you're good, you can work anywhere. So how is this going to help Indian country? Jason, how do you think it's going to help?
Well, I wanted to, if you, Dean, if you could elaborate on that, but also touch on, will your program touch on the unique aspects of working for a tribe and the unique legal aspects of, going to work at, just say, a tribal hotel on the reservation? That has its own new sets of rules, everything from HR, even to the pay you receive. If you're a tribal citizen living on the reservation and you're working for the tribal government, none of your wages get taxed. So, stuff like that. Is that partnership with San Manuel going to bring out some of those dichotomies in the hospitality industry?
Absolutely. Our goal is, and it really relates to our conversation earlier about, the shortage of labor. and how, in a sense, that's an opportunity because it shows people who are passionate that this is not just a job, but it's a career. And by moving people across departments and doing different things because we're filling in, it gives people the opportunity to say, wow, I really like this area of the front desk, or I was working in the marketing department and I'm really interested in what's happening in marketing, or just working on the gaming side and seeing how do they calculate the odds and all of that. So our goal is really twofold. It's really what I would call upskilling. In other words, I'm very good at job A, but I'd like to know job B, but I don't know enough about it. I know the practical side, right? I know how to do things, but I don't necessarily know the why. I don't know kind of the theory around why we do it this way. So our courses are really going to be geared towards, and it's typical to what we do with our regular program, is we provide theoretical knowledge along with practical knowledge on how to do things better, and how to think differently about your overall job so that you can be better at what you're doing. And I'll give you an example for what we've been doing with another organization called Club Corp. And they own and operate golf courses around the country. And they realized that they had a lot of employees who were great started off in the golf business, were great golfers, suddenly now moved into management. They're running food and beverage, they're running analytics, and they're running all these different things about managing a golf club. And they realized that there was a lack of knowledge in some of these areas related to hospitality. So we're doing basically a 3-week program where we're teaching them about leadership. We're teaching them about revenue management. We're teaching them about strategy. So then they can go back, provide better customer experience, drive more revenue to the property, and also give the employee the opportunity that now they can move to different areas because they have a much better background. And so that's what we plan to do, is we design courses so that a person who maybe not be in marketing but wants to do marketing will have a certificate program that allows them to learn about marketing and how we think about loyalty marketing. We'll have a course on, revenue management. What is revenue management? How does it apply not only to the rooms, but how does it apply to the gaming areas? And as we find out what the initial courses need to be built, that's going to be our approach. And we will also really talk about the differences in terms of how this works in commercial gaming and why it's different in tribal gaming. And I think we will have courses. In fact, I know we will have courses, as I mentioned earlier, on history of tribal gaming, history of Native Americans. So non-tribal members can have an understanding of how tribal gaming came about, how the rules and the compacts are different from commercial gaming, and really provide a culture of what it means to be a tribal member and a tribal organization. So it's really about education in all multiple areas, but it's really about helping a tribal member who wants to learn more and do more. We're going to provide them with courses that they can take at a time and a place that they're choosing and the subject matter that they're interested in. So I hope that answers the question.
Sure does. You know what, Megan, we haven't spoken to you for a second. How are you doing? First of all, I'm so glad you're here to back up Stowe, because we're really worried that, he was going to fade into the background. And, Megan, so how do we get these, how would the tribes get these programs into their facilities?
Good question. It's a pleasure to meet you all today. I think Stowe and Angela did a great job describing this amazing gift that we're working with that the university received, and we're excited to develop and launch these programs into the communities. We've partnered with various Indian gaming associations throughout the country over the last 12 months to develop relationships and definitely, understand, the organizations and build relationships and meet the key players in the industry so that we understand, like Stowe said, the needs as we're developing these great programs. So we're working with your great organization and we'll be attending CNIGA next month, the biannual meeting. So I'm sure I'll be seeing many of you there. in person for that. We've been out in Oklahoma and OIGA, and so we've attended various conferences and partnered with organizations to really try to gain some exposure and visibility and build relationships as we start to develop and launch this great programming.
Yeah, I think the key thing, excuse me, just let me just jump in what's Megan's saying, is that, we're non-tribal members. We're learning more about the tribal communities and tribal gaming. And our whole goal is we need help to say, you need to understand how things work in Native American country, and you don't come in and just assume what everybody needs. And so these relationships that we're building, and that's why we're so excited to be hiring a chair to help us really run these programs and help us build connections and help us develop the relationships, not only with the tribal colleges, but with tribal casinos around the country.
You and I have had a couple conversations about this, Dean Shoemaker, and I spoke with a friend of mine recently.
Excuse me.
Kel Goldberg, who was from UCLA and started the School of Law over there, and a dear friend and ally for forever. And one of the things that she told me is that, and I think it's really relevant to this conversation, is that when you're looking for a chair for something like this, it's just so unique. You have to step outside your normal process. Normally for an educator like this, you would look within, but this is a one where we're looking outside of ourselves to bring in a new eyes, a new voice to come in. And so I think this is really unique, even if you're not an educator at this point. This is a really unique opportunity for somebody inside the industry to help shape this program to be really beneficial for Indian country and tribal gaming. So I think and it was really illuminating for me, because at first I thought, well, why don't they just go to their normal, but this isn't the case. You really want someone in the industry to help shape this program, somebody who understands tribal gaming. And, they don't necessarily have to be Native American too. And I think that's important. It's people who, it's the knowledge, the only color that matters is gray matter, the color between your ears. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what's important for this job. We want somebody who is thinking outside the box and sees and understands this opportunity and can help us create even a better opportunity for Indian country, right?
Exactly. And, we wrote, traditionally, when you think of academic jobs and you think of chairs, you think of someone coming in who's a full professor and has a huge publication record and kind of just sits on their chair and does their research and pontificates about stuff. But we really wrote this job description saying, if you're an academic and you have PhD and you want a 10-year position, that's an option. If you're someone like Victor, you'd explained, who has been working in industry, has an undergraduate degree, but is very connected and has all these skill sets, they're eligible to apply. So we've written a job description so that depending upon where your credentials are, depends upon the role or the level of your employment contract. And so it's really wide open. We are thinking way outside the box. Angela developed recently, if you read Tribal College magazine, we've been running ads in that magazine. We've had some banner ads talking about this position. And we're really thinking outside the box. And the more that people who are on this call are interested or would like to hear more, please reach out to me and we'll send you the link, for the job description. We obviously will also be mailing it out, with NIGA. But if you know of people who really have a passion for knowledge and a passion for education and really a passion for helping others and developing and a track record of developing these programs, please reach out to us.
Yeah, what Stowe's not saying is that if you're sick of your job and you want to do something else, you can come to UNLV. What he's saying is, here's an opportunity to create something really unique, and you don't have to be a professional educator. This is an opportunity to come in that's a really unique opportunity that's been created, and it's an opportunity to change things, which is, I thought that's what made it really, really unique. And I think, hopefully with this podcast and with the mailer we're going to be sending out through NIGA, asking, and we hope that everyone who gets it will share it, and we'll think about this and think about this opportunity and think about what we can create. And as we talk about the 7 generations and the next generations, this is an opportunity to put the proof to the pudding. So Jason, what do you think about that, man?
Oh, Megan, so when you go out to other organizations and OIGA around the country, your message at these various shows are to come to UNLV. Are you just trying to get the word out about the partnership with San Manuel, or are you guys, is it part of active recruiting as well for potential Indian kids coming off the reservation to want to come to UNLV and get a hospitality degree? Is that what we're trying to build there?
Great question. No, we're trying to do all that. So it's just educating, the communities about the program that we're trying to develop to gain exposure and visibility, so people understand the partnership, people understand the courses that we're trying to develop that would be available to them, their employees, tribal members, anybody that's looking, like Stowe said, to grow within the industry and create more leaders. So we think that this is a great niche. All the feedback that we've received so far is that that this is something that a lot of folks would be interested in. They'd be interested in sending their employees through, whether it be a boots on the ground course or online certificate program. But they're definitely interested in learning more and being part of this process as we create and develop and launch this. So it's getting the word out and educating people, and that's why we're sending out the survey to see what those needs are, and developing relationships and meeting new people and key players with different associations and in tribal gaming, so that we make sure that we're on track, and we're creating a process that's going to stick long term and be well received.
And it seems like as we go forward, this seems like it's a really important component for tribal gaming and the gaming industry going forward, is that just really giving your employees these incentive and these career path opportunities. It's not enough to give them insurance anymore. It's not enough. It's, people want to be respected. People want to feel that they have value. And I feel like programs like this show that you're hearing them, you know what I mean? And that people don't want to go to a job and feel they're going home and feeling, that anxiety and the existential dread. I think, the pandemic has forced people to reevaluate, what's important for them. We've all been stuck inside a house for a year or however long, and now we're going into year 3 of this pandemic. So for me, it feels like, first of all, San Manuel was very prescient in having this relationship. And now I think a lot of us are looking at, how do we retain our employees? It's not enough to say, you're my friend, you're part of our family now. It's, you have to pay them more. You have to give them better insurance. And I believe the career path opportunity is the really next step in showing how much you value your employees. Because if you don't, somebody else will.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's people, we invest a lot of time where we work, right? We spend more time at work than we do outside of work. And if I'm investing all my time with this organization, it's nice to know that the organization is investing in me, not just by paying me, but investing in terms of my education, my career path, and trying to make me a better person, a better employee, and providing me with more opportunities. And there's kind of a joke that says, well, what if we spend all this money and they leave and training? And then the question is, well, what if we don't spend any money and they stay? Right. And so
we will hunt them down. So that's what we do. We're natives. You know what I mean? It's tracking.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So it's about, look at, I think, we're educators at the end of the day. And, at least everybody at UNLV, and I think everybody in tribal country believes this too. At the end of the day, we want people to be successful. We want them to have amazing lives. We want them to do great things. And we want them to think 7 generations from now. Like, what am I doing today that's going to help my kids, grandkids be successful, right? And it all comes down to knowledge. And Sam Manuel has been so generous and supportive of knowledge and in education. And that's what I think is the nicest thing is they said, we believe in UNLV to help future generations provide the knowledge and skill sets that we need to be successful, and they need to be successful as people. And that's our goal. And, we've taken, the gift came prior to pandemic, and we have had some setbacks with the pandemic, but we're being very quick, we're being very slow and very process driven to make sure that we develop programs that work, right? You can build a house, but if you don't have a strong foundation, it's just going to crumble. And my message to Sam Manuel is that we are building a very solid foundation by doing the research. We actually went out in the summer and we interviewed about 50 tribal members, academics, tribal college leaders, really to begin an understanding of what should our survey look like, right? So we didn't just sit down and kind of write a survey. We went out, talked to 50 people within your community and our community to really develop the right question. We sent the questionnaire to a company called Raven Consulting, who's going to be working with us on their database. And they've done, as many of you know, a lot of work in tribal communities. And they said, you should tweak some of these questions because this is a better way to answer it. Sam Manuel's obviously been involved in tweaking the questionnaire. So it wasn't a kind of quick and dirty, get it done, get the results back, develop the courses. It's been more about, let's be really methodical to make sure we're doing the right things so we do it right. I always say, are we doing the right things, and are we doing the right things right? And the research will help us determine, are we doing the right things?
So how's it been going at Sam Manuel? How are the employees receiving this when it seems, I know if I was there, I'd be ecstatic to have this opportunity.
Well, I think Sam Manuel has done an amazing job getting people excited about what we're doing, excited about the gift. I have not done any research among the employees of Sam Manuel, but I have obviously talked to the leadership, and they're excited to see the program going. And I think what's important when I talked to Jacob Coyne at Sam Manuel, it's clearly about educating Sam Manuel employees, but it's more than just Sam Manuel. In other words, they didn't give this money to UNLV just for Sam Manuel employees. They really gave it to help everybody in tribal communities across the country. And I think that's what's so special about this gift. Yes, let's raise our employees, but let's help all employees from even competitive organizations be successful. Because at the end of the day, it's about education. It's having people be better. And that's what I think is exciting. And I think most people agree, we're educating everybody. So how could you not like that?
I'm glad you brought up Jacob Coyne, because I was going to bring up Jacob. Jacob used to have Jason's job back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Jacob's a very dear friend of mine. And as a matter of fact, I know he was very invested in the program with Bill Eatington also, who I knew. But I always felt that, when I know how important it was to Jacob. And that's the other thing too. It isn't just employee level, you're doing C-level, you're doing it at all levels of the job. It isn't just employees. It's really about everyone in your on your property, in your organization, and to elevate everyone to create these phenomenal teams. So Jacob, good on you, man. Don't think we haven't noticed your good work out here. Like I said, I'm a dear friend of Jacob for almost 25 years. So he's a good man.
And I'm glad you brought up, the senior leadership, because our programs are geared for that, and we envision, if this is what is needed and wanted, putting on a senior leadership programs for the team of executives within a tribal casino with hospitality, and really working, for a week-long program, if that's what they want, where we come to their location and we work on some of the issues that are of concern, whether it be learning about pricing or leadership or just, HR practices and or service operations, where we come in and we work with the team and we give them the knowledge and we work with them to help develop programs so that they can be successful within their own organizations. That's what we've been doing for a long time. For instance, when I mentioned Club Corp, but you get to keep a team of people all on the same property, and you get them talking and you get them coming up with ideas, and you get them sort of saying, okay, what are some issues we face within our property? Well, let's bring in some academics to help us think differently about it, reinforce stuff that we already know, and then help us develop strategies and tactics to solve those issues. And that's what we'll be doing with this program.
Wow. What do
Awesome.
you think, Jason?
No, it's
There's
awesome.
a lot here, man.
There's partnerships, our friend Kate Spildy has a partnership with San Diego State.
Yes.
So, this is a great model around the country, and I hope you guys are planning on coming to Anaheim. We'll have to make some room for you
Absolutely.
and get the word out to our tribes that come to Anaheim. Just real quick before we wrap up, because I know a lot of folks on here are associate members or people that work at tribal casinos. I mean, you mentioned CES, the conference, the big electronics conference that was in Las Vegas. I understood they actually had to shut down a day early as well. Here we are moving towards April. I think we're going to be okay in Anaheim, but I know on February 15th, California is going to come out with some new rules on large gatherings on February 15th. Something's going to come out of the governor's office, I guess. So, we got to pay attention to that. A lot of tribal conferences have been canceled for February already. They're going virtual. So, I hope what you're seeing, that trend there, we were in Vegas last July and we hit the sweet spot and we had a great conference, and, we didn't mandate masks. A lot of people did wear them, but, by the end of our show, the city had reinstituted a mask mandate. So, I'll take your optimism, Dean Shoemaker, and we'll run with it. But we are just constantly nervous about this, and especially in Indian country where the multi-generational families, a lot of tribes have travel bans still because they just don't want it coming back on the reservation and running like wildfire through homes and whatnot. So it's going to be tricky this year, I think. And we said this 2 years ago, and now we're on year 3, but I'm glad you guys are at UNLV. I know the UNLV Law School also has a program going for tribal gaming. So they're just doing great things there at UNLV, and it's good to meet you, Megan, and your team, Dean Shoemaker. This is just great.
And Angela, he didn't forget Angela. He didn't forget Angela.
No, great.
Well, again, I want to just reiterate, thank you very much for this opportunity to be on this podcast. And for those of you who are listening, when you do receive our survey, please fill it out, because we really need your opinion. When you see the job description, if it's something you're interested, or people who think this would be great for, please let us know. We are designing this program for you, right? And so the more information you give us, the more we can be sure that we're going to design something that you're interested in. And if you have your own organization and you say, hey, we'd really like to learn more about ABC, please reach out to me, and we can do custom programs for your hospitality enterprise, as well as anything else. So please reach out to us. We're still in the building stages. This is a work in progress. So we need your opinions. We need your ideas, and we're going to make missteps, right? I'm going to say things that are inappropriate. It's just because of a lack of knowledge. And
No, you're not. Still, no, you're not. You're too good for that.
But do reach out to us, because this is a program that we're working together, all of us, to design something that benefits everybody.
Stowe, once we had this lady come into a tribal meeting for our tribe, and we had a general membership meeting, and she was a marketing lady, and she came in and she said, she just said, new job, and we're going to do all this stuff. And she goes, and for Columbus Day, we're going to do something like this. And a tribal member got up and he said, we don't celebrate Columbus Day here. And she stopped and she thought for a second. She goes, well, you do now. I think they fired her like a week later or something like that. So, just we all make mistakes, what I mean? So, And you know, and I think the important thing, and remember, you know, the chair, we're looking for someone who knows the industry. This is somebody who can really bring the education, the knowledge, and the experience to this to create something new and unique for Indian country. So I think that's really important. If it's not for you, if you know someone out there, share the information. We're going to be sending out on the NIGA mailing list tomorrow. You know, so we just want everybody out there to help. We can make this something really important for Indian country. Manuel seeded the field for us, and it's up for us to get this thing done. So is there anything you'd like to wrap up with, Jason?
I think this is great. We're looking forward to meeting with folks at Anaheim and getting the word out. The surveys, again, folks, the attendees, you'll get it from us. If you're associate member, for sure, it'll be in your inbox. Board members, you know, please fill that out. I mean, surveys are just like Dean Shoemaker was saying, it's valuable information. And we know how these surveys work. You know, we hope to get 2, 3, 4% of them back just to get something. And, you know, the more, the better, because it just helps improve everything. I know that we live on the survey results to try to make our show better each year. And the more feedback we get, the better we can make it for attendees.
And some of you may have, because we did try to do the survey like last summer. So if you look at it and you go, wait, I think I filled this out before, ignore that, because the survey's been completely rewritten since we last did it. So start fresh.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And then also, I'd like to remind you that the School of Hospitality is an associate member of NIGA. They're supporting, doing the hard work. They were at our show in July. We're talking about it, and we'll be doing some stuff in Anaheim too with them also. So they will be there. You know, this is very important. You know, this pandemic, year 3 going into it, you know, so this is important that we stay on top of our game. We keep educating our people and keep moving forward. So again, Stowe Shoemaker, Dean Shoemaker, Angela, thank you so much. Megan, thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys coming and sharing your information with us. And so everyone, thanks so much. Oh, and by the way, I apologize about last week not being on. I forgot it was my 20th anniversary of my wedding, my marriage to my long-suffering wife. So I took her out to LA to a concert and stuff like that. So I apologize about last week, and we'll see you next week. So thanks, everyone. We'll see everybody next week. Thank you so much.
Thank
Dean,
you.
Angela, Megan, and Jason. See you guys next week. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.